closed.
All right, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone had a good Christmas. Right back at it. Sorry about that. I'll call this meeting to order. The Polk County Board of Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, December 26th. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, are there any comments for items not on the agenda today? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 19th?
Also move. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, Kevin Porter is with us with the Soil and Water Conservation District, Polk County, here to ask for a support letter for a grant. Please join us.
Thank you for having me come in this morning. So, as you may know, the district owns two properties in fee title that are part of the Bonneville BPA Willamette Wildlife Mitigation Fund monies that were from the giant settlement that they had years ago. There's issues with the district owning the properties. The biggest of which that we run into over time is that the majority of the money that we deal with for conservation projects, we don't qualify for as a special district or local government, which has been frustrating. And the board has, the SWCD board has not been too willing to just pay for work on our properties with general taxpayer funds. We do have some stewardship money that was granted with the properties, but that's not quite enough to do what needs to be done. It's more for just small maintenance projects, not large restoration. With the new private forest accord, the legislature also created a conservation grant mitigation fund. This year they funded it for about $10 million. That fund is overseen by Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And they're taking proposals for project funding right now. They're due December 31st. The district is pretty interested and excited about this opportunity because it's one of the few things that has can fund significant work that we can use it on our own property. So we are applying. I wish I had an exact dollar number to give you, but we're actually putting our budgets together this week. It's going to be several hundreds of thousands of dollars. Oak Upland Work, which this property is off of Sunnyside Road, up off of Van Well. It's about 92 acres. It's very expensive work. And then it requires ongoing annual maintenance, which this fund also has an application process for. So once we do this work, it'll fund maintenance year after year. Then, you know, this is largely pass-through money. We will, of course, keep some for admin fees for staff in the district, but 90% or more of this money that we apply for will go back into Polk County contractors to do the work on this property for us. And then like I said, we'll have ongoing work, hopefully forever, on the property that'll continue to be into the county.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the project scope and its purpose?
Yeah, so the barrier for entry to this fund is priority fish habitat. So cutthroat trout, coho, winter steelhead. It obviously we're applying for upland oak work, but this property also has a little over half a mile of seasonal stream, but it is directly feeds into Salt Creek, and it is shown on ODF&W's maps as fish habitat. And those maps are what they've told us that they want us to use to identify resource concerns on the property. So by those, we do qualify for entry into the program. Part of the work that we will do is riparian work on the seasonal stream with the intent to increase the time over the year which it flows water and to control invasive species. Of course, it has blackberries and hawthorn and all the fun stuff, Scotch broom on it. And then there's about 7 acres of 30-year-old Christmas trees on the property that was identified for removal when we purchased the property. It'll be a very expensive project that we'll hopefully be able to fund with this and convert that into oak, which the rest of the property is. We've done pretty extensive restoration plannings on part of this property with Kincaid's lupin and Willamette daisy, which are identified under the Oregon Conservation Plan. We will hopefully continue those plantings across larger acreage of the property and just try to control invasives that are coming in. We're required to do minimum maintenance under the conservation easement to basically maintain it as we purchased it. Frankly, that just hasn't happened. So the property, there's some catch-up work to do and then restoration to bring it up to what we'd like to see.
So you're asking for a support letter.
Yes.
And I see that you have something that's a template put together for us. Who are other supporters that you've garnered support from?
So we have support from the Greater Yamhill Watershed Council, Institute for Applied Ecology, which is our partner that's done most of the restoration work. They're a very large organization that's based out of Corvallis. They produce and plant and kind of start to finish restoration projects here in the Willamette Valley. We have letter support from ODF&W themselves. We have several others out. Of course, you know, it's Christmas time, so people are on vacation. We haven't had as many back as I'd like, but those are kind of the big hitters at the moment.
So I asked this question with all good intent, always, what's the value of an endorsement from a governing body for this application for funds that aren't government, and for an entity that isn't government, so to speak? What's the value of this endorsement?
I think an endorsement from the Board of Commissioners does give this project some weight. This proposal, you know, especially with these funds kind of coming into the county, you know, generally, you know, it shows that we're working as a district, we're working with the county, and you're aware of what we're doing. And, you know, they like to see that cooperation and partnership.
Is a full volunteer staff?
Our staff?
Yeah.
No, we're paid.
You're paid.
Staff's paid, yeah.
How many you have on staff?
5 of us.
Okay.
You do have a bunch of volunteers that do help.
Oh,
with this
yes.
project.
Oh, God.
To be clear.
Yes. We have several hundred volunteers that we use on an annual basis. Of course, our biggest projects that most people in the county see are the plant sales. And those take a huge amount of volunteers to pull off. And we'd be using a similar group of volunteers for some work in this project. Largely, the initial work, especially in Oak, is mechanized, and that would use paid contractors.
And how many acres are you currently addressing?
So this property is about 92 acres, more or less. We do own a second property that's about 186 acres that we're not currently applying for funding to do any work on at this time. There's some other issues that we need to resolve first with the second property before we do any extensive work there.
Well, I'm ready to support you with a letter of support. I wish that we had a real number. I don't like doing something without a real number. But I guess I need you to, in order to go forward with this for me, I need you to pledge that you're going to tell us just as quickly as you can
Yes.
what that number is. I know time is of the essence here.
Yeah.
I get that. I wish it didn't, but so I'd like to know what that number is just for our education going forward, and then a budget of what you, because I'm guessing you're going to provide one in the grant application. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know
Yeah.
how you're going to spend that money.
No, I
Again,
completely understand.
just for our education, not scrutinizing it. So I would move that the board provide this letter of support for Polk Soil and Water Conservation District.
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? Support your work, Kevin.
Thank you.
All the best to you. And we'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Good luck. Keep us
Thanks, Kevin.
posted.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Next up is the National Historic Register. Mr. Hanson, this is you.
Oh, yes. In your packet is a letter we received from the Salem Advisory Committee on Historic Preservation. Looks like Dallas has nominated us for the National Registry for our historic building, which comes with it one, a designation and a recognition. We don't get tax benefits because we don't pay taxes. It does require us to restore when we do remodels or anything to its natural state. Probably the most expensive thing we will be addressing sometime in the near future is the mosaic floor on the first floor of the historic building. If you look at it, each tile is about the size of a less than a quarter, bigger than a nickel, and you will have to get those probably specially made if there's replacement necessary. It has a cement lath underneath, and that's beginning to crumble and make it uneven in that. So with this designation, if approved, it's going to just make our projects more costly when we have to deal with the historic building. We really don't gain any benefit. We're not going to change how we do things. We're not going to put a big sign on the building that says on the National Registry, because everyone knows it's referred to as the historic building. So, I mean, there is nothing. So just wanted you to be aware there's a public hearing, and I guess we could go and talk about the negatives of it. But I just wanted you to be aware. They've tried it before. It's never risen to this level. This is probably the final approval they'll need to move it forward to the National Register. So there are a number of sites that are being considered. So I don't know if they have a limit on those sites or if they can push them all forward. That's it. It's just more of an update. Makes Matt's life a little harder.
Not overly exciting.
I'll ask the question, are the grant dollars tied to renovations associated with it?
The chances of
reliable?
a government entity of our size receiving those compared to historic registered houses and those other that are providing tours and those kind of things, slim to none.
Okay.
That's my guess. Yeah, I don't think we ever win. We'd qualify, but we wouldn't win. And
Added costs would come out of the general fund.
gonna come out of taxpayer funds of some kind, whether, if we had passed a bond or something, it'd come out of bond money, but yeah, as it is, it'd come out of the rent internal charges that we charge for rent, and we'd have to probably store up money and those kind of things.
Well, I'm all about saving significant historical sites. However, the challenge I have to the little details that you just described, and they become insurmountable from there. I mean, again, any mandates for earthquake improvements, et cetera, have to all fit within that realm. And there's no way we can pay for that. There's just no way we can pay for it. And of course, we've all heard horror stories over the years about people who own private properties that have become historical properties that essentially bankrupt them or make them sell the properties at very discounted dollars just to get out from under them. So I'm saying this for the record. I appreciate the city's intent, but we probably should be having a real conversation here about, how they're going to help us to maintain what's coming, because we really don't know. I mean, there's going to be lots of surprises going forward. Hopefully we'll pass my tenure, but it's the big issue I have, again, for the record, is the fact that it's a working courthouse. It's office building. It's occupied by government bodies, and we don't have any dollars to do the things that these preservation folks, SHPO, are going to want us to do as time goes on. And once we move out of it someday and into a newer working courthouse, maybe that's a different animal. But right now, while we're trying to live in it and have to meet current codes to stay in it, every change we make is going to have to follow these rules.
I think there's some things that the courts have done as well in the past, that under this wouldn't be allowed anymore. The technology that exists, the things that they need now wouldn't have been able to happen had we already been on the registry. And I think moving forward, we know how that goes. There's going to be more changes, and it is a concern for me what that cost would be.
Big screen TVs in historic courtrooms probably aren't going to pass. The other things you're gonna have is anytime you try to do a project, there's gonna be massive delays because it's gonna have to get approval down the line. So,
Every step.
Oh, I know.
Every step. So my question is there any chance that we have to push back on it and say, no, not yet. It's not time. We get it, but it's not time.
There's a hearing.
That's why I put it on the agenda for discussion.
When is the hearing? Sorry.
February.
It's in February.
February 16th.
Maybe we could draft a letter of support, but not yet. Sort of.
Yeah. And again, it's going to have significant impacts to us while we're still operating as a working courthouse.
My guess is they don't get many people that aren't wanting that designation. Most of them are, yes. In our case, we've always shied away from it and asked Dallas not to push it. Somehow this got pushed without us really knowing. So here we are.
Mhm.
Just the restroom renovations we just did wouldn't have been allowed.
Probably not.
They would have to go back to original.
Yeah, but we did them in this building,
Well,
so.
we've got some going on in the historic one.
I know.
Yeah. You're right. The pink bathroom would remain a pink bathroom as an example.
Now, the problem is a lot of the things that are current in that courthouse aren't how they were back in 1898 either. I mean, so how far we have to address history and how we address history is unknown.
Yeah, that's another question. I mean, we've done a lot of things that,
Well, I know,
do we have to go backwards?
don't know. There's a lot of,
Sprinkler system that we.
If this came with funding, I'd be more apt to support it, but it's really just producing anxiety the more we talk about it,
I
so.
don't see how they could stop a sprinkler system with the new fire codes required, but you probably have to put them into where they'd be.
It's already in.
it's already,
Right,
It's
I
in.
know.
already there. My
I mean,
concern.
we were,
It's not historic.
yeah,
Right.
Right.
but we were
We did
very,
our best.
I mean, we did our best with the air conditioning. We used every, crevice that you could find that didn't expose it and those kind of things. Same with the fire life safety stuff, but yeah, I don't know the retroactivity of anything we do in a certain area, if we'd have to go back all the way and try to find historic photos of how it looked. Obviously, we don't have the, the heating system that we used to. We used to have a steam. When I first started here, we didn't have what we have now. So you had the, cast iron heating system. We didn't have air conditioning at all. God, I'm old. So
Circuit Court 2 alone, I mean, was updated to look like this building in 63,
yeah,
and it doesn't look like Circuit Court 1 at all.
yep.
I don't know what this would mean for that.
Can we get a little more information before we make this decision on if we have to retro it back? If anything's done? I mean, that's information I'd love to know. Cause I'd hate to put that cost on the county going forward. Just,
Not sure we have much to say, do we?
well, if we're gonna write a letter
I
for or
just personally want
against,
to say thank you, but no thank you right now.
Yeah.
that's kind of how I am.
But I certainly would like to know what Mr. Ferrari is doing,
I would,
because he's named in here.
oh, is he?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I haven't seen the letter. I know that the city was trying to get multiple buildings. So I don't know, excuse me, I don't know what other buildings, obviously none of them are ours. But around the
We're out square.
courthouse square, they were looking at doing something, and clearly they've gotten it that far.
Yeah, but they're looking for money for those things. I mean, they just,
This isn't theirs.
There's often a promise of money.
money and tax credits and those kind of things, which obviously don't apply. The tax credits definitely don't apply
It's
to us.
helpful for the private owners.
Yeah.
But not for us whatsoever.
Yeah, we're not gonna get urban renewal money for the upgrades that we need to make.
No.
Exactly.
We break their urban renewal
Yeah.
bank. So, yeah, I can go over and talk to Brian and see why now, and if there's any way we can get this removed from the agenda.
Are they able to pull their application, including this building or the?
Well, they
historic
could probably
building?
modify it. I mean, but the designation on the agenda is they're basically trying to make it a historic district.
Yeah,
So they get, and we're included in that district, and we're probably the centerpiece of that designation. So removing us may make their application much weaker, but also attach a bunch of strings we don't want attached to us. So,
I would have appreciated a discussion
okay,
with the board before they submitted this, but.
I will go talk to Brian and see where we can go, but
Okay.
I wanted to make you guys aware. I figured your reaction would be the same as mine, same as Matt's last week when we got the letter, so. And yeah,
Ryan is out. I think this week I happen to have a meeting scheduled with him next week if you're interested.
yeah, I don't know if he's out or not. I talked to him on Thursday.
Yeah, he's
Off the calendar.
actually, maybe he's back Thursday, Friday this week.
So I'll go find out. I'll walk across the street.
Okay. Well, keep us posted. Appreciate that. All right, next up is the selection of the Board of Commissioners Chair for 2024. I do have a motion prepared.
I would like a motion that Commissioner Polk to be our chair for 2024.
That was my motion as well with a slight modification because we have added kind of a vice chair role.
Okay.
Actually, so I will include Commissioner Mortenhorst to serve as vice chair during 2020. That's okay with you.
Okay.
I hear that train a coming.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, next up is the budget calendar. Can't believe we're here already.
Yep. In your packet or as a handout or whatever, there is a proposed budget calendar for the upcoming 24-25 budget season. You have a compensation committee, which you three are not involved. The rest of the items on the budget calendar would involve board involvement along with budget committee involvement, with the exception of the final adoption of the board of the county budget, which is a Board of Commissioner only meeting. So want you to make sure you're clean on the dates that we've selected. It's basically April 9th through the 11th. We'll have 2 of those 3 days for budget hearings. Make sure your calendar is clear there. Then we meet again on May 15th for formal approval of the budget. And then June 26th is the adoption of the budget. So if you can make sure there are no conflicts, by law, we're required to approve a budget calendar. You also have to select a budget or a budget officer. I shouldn't make any assumptions, but I'll assume it's me. It will require approval. Nicole checked with our lay members of the budget committee. We're going to meet on the compensation committee on Tuesday rather than a normal Wednesday because there was conflicts on the Wednesday dates. So like I said, you're not involved in that decision. The compensation committee makes recommendations on elected official salaries, and then it's put forth into the budget document and those kind of things. So if you're okay with it, you can approve the budget calendar today and naming me budget officer, or you can wait a week and do it then. Doesn't matter to me. It's just, we have to do it eventually.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to appoint Greg Hansen budget officer and approve the 24-25 budget calendar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. And we have there are no open seats in the budget committee still. We're
Correct. You
we
have
have a good stable.
same
group.
3 that
Good.
I think David Johnson was our last reappointment, so he has a 3-year term. I guess the other 2, these will be their last terms when they complete them. So I think Blair will be up a year from now. No, not Blair. I think it's Norbert.
Norbert's the first.
I think it's,
No, it's, I think.
is it Blair? Okay. So, but right now, our same 3 lay members are on board, and they will be the compensation committee in February 6th.
Thanks to them for their continued service. Anything else we need to address before we adjourn? All right, with that, we will adjourn. Thank you.